Good morning, Cub Scouts and Cub Scout parents. Today I've got a video for the Cub Scout parent. Today's skill that we're going to talk about is how to sew on a patch. All right? Now, other than cooking, sewing is probably the most valuable skill that I learned when I was a scout. I use it more often than almost anything else, again, other than cooking. So there's a few issues we have with sewing on a patch. Where are you going to put it? How are you going to hold it in place while you sew it? So this is a good time of year to be talking about this because a lot of our scouts have just earned or are about to earn their different rank badges, be it tiger, wolf, bear, lion, weeblo. So when you're sewing on these patches, you got to find out where they're supposed to go. Your Scout's handbook has a little guide showing where the patches should go. So how are we going to attach them? Well, there's a few different theories on this. Different people like to do different things. Some of them have their drawbacks though. The back of most of these patches have an iron-on surface. So you just got to take that little sticker off on the back, you put it into place, you iron over it, and it melts that backing and sticks it to the fabric. There's a couple of issues with this. First one is it never lasts. It always falls off. The other issue is it stains the fabric. So if you ever take this patch off and put a different patch on, if it's not the exact same size patch, you're going to see that stain left behind on the fabric. So that's not a good option. I've seen people use a liquid adhesive that a lot of people do with fabric crafts and whatnot. This stuff, because of that waxy backing, makes it so that the patch does not stick on when it dries very well. And again, it falls off and this stains the fabric. So if you ever take the patch off and put a different patch on, you're going to see that. It's not going to look very good. Sewing pins and safety pins can work, but they don't really like to go through the patch material very easily, and you always kind of shift them off a little bit from where they're supposed to be while you're trying to get those pins in there. So we need something that's fast, temporary, and isn't going to damage the fabric after we're done. So we're going to do what I learned from my mother in putting these patches on, is we're going to staple it on. It's fast, you can remove the staple, and it's not going to damage the fabric or the patch. So you just line that up, bring the stapler in. Depending upon how much fabric you have to go through, it might be squirrely. And then make sure that fabric lies flat and even. There. And we're left with a patch exactly where it's supposed to be without shifting around, and that staple is going to be nice and easy to remove when we're done. So the next step is thread. All right, you need thread. You want to pick a thread that pretty closely matches that patch. Not a lot is going to show through, but enough. So if I use like a black thread on this and sew it all the way around, it's going to look awkward. So you get your needle and your thread. You thread the needle. That, depending upon how good your eyes are, is maybe going to be the hardest part of this, but that's okay. I usually just do one full arm span of thread. Doesn't matter what size patch I'm doing, that's usually going to be enough. And then you just pick a spot on the patch and start sewing. I always come in from the back first. Makes it so the little tail of the thread that doesn't show through. So you thread the needle on the back side. You tie 2 overhand knots in the very end there. That's going to keep the thread from going all the way through. Sometimes tying that thread can be a little hard. What makes it a little bit easier, just give it a little lick, and then the 2 sides of the thread stick together. It makes it much easier to tie. All right. And then we just go through and sew like this. Alright, so I've sewed all the way around. The patch is on. If you look at the back, you can see the stitch pattern. So I would travel about 1/4 of an inch and then do a stitch that maybe a 1/16 to an 1/8 inch, and then all the way around. When I get to the end, tie it off, cut it. You're left with that, and your patch is all nicely sewn and in place. Nice quick stitch like this takes me about 5 minutes. I usually do it while I'm watching something on the TV. Now that staple, best way to remove that staple, take your pocket knife or similar thing, and don't pry it from the front side, but unbend the prongs on the back side. All right, that way they'll just pull right through and they won't rip or tear any of the threading. So then they'll just comes right out, and you can't really even see the holes that those staples went through. Definitely can't see the staple holes in the patch. So yeah, that's how we sew on a patch, and that patch, it's not coming off. Not till I want it to come off. So cub parents, that's a good way to sew on your Scouts patches. Scouts, even if you're on the younger side, start learning how to sew, because I cannot express how useful of a skill that is. Doesn't matter who you are, your whole entire life, you're gonna be using that. So, good luck with your patches.